Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, Math Bell. My name is Michelle, and here I share strategies, tutorials, ideas, tips, and more in elementary math for parents and teachers. Today is day 13 in our 30-day back-to-school math resource challenge. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you how to create a coordinate grid or a coordinate plane where students can practice reading coordinates using an x-axis and a y-axis, as well as having questions to go along with those grids. Let's get started. So we're going to go over to design and then to slide size and then hit page setup. 8.5 for the width and 11 for the height. So I'm going to select the page to get rid of the default text boxes that come on the page. So now we're going to get started by creating our grid. So I'm going to go to Insert, Table, and then Insert Table. And you can do a small grid, you can do a large grid, you can do whatever size that you want. I'm going to do a 10 by 10. I do have a resource where I have a pack of grids in black and gray and pink where they have different sizes of the grid, so all the way down to a 4 by 4 grid, and I go all the way up to like 26 by 26. So check out that resource if you want to see other grids. So here's our table. I'm going to change it where it has no style, and then I'm going to go up to layout and then adjust the cell height and width. So I'm going to put it at a 7 and then the width at a 7 as well. So I'm going to leave it in the middle for now, and then as we're adding in other features, I'm going to move it up. So we have it 7 by 7 in each cell. So if you wanted to do you wanted to show all 4 quadrants on your grid, all you would have to do is select your table, go to table design, and then for borders, you're gonna hit on the pen color and then pick the color you want. I'm just gonna choose black, and then I'm gonna go down the line, and then it highlights that line. And then I'm going to click here for the line to go across. Let's undo that one. Hit the pen again. And then you can make it thicker or thinner here where it adjusts the weight of the line. So that's if you want it all 4 quadrants. So I'm going to duplicate this page. Oops, I'm going to come over here and duplicate the page and leave that 4 quadrants. So now, because I work with elementary students, we only work in quadrant 1 when we're focusing on the coordinate grid or the coordinate plane. So I'm going to click on table design, and then for borders, I'm going to put no border. All border I want to be 1 point, and then we're going to put that in there. So now I want the outside of the grid, the left border, to be darker or to be highlighted. So I'm going to hit 3 point, and then I'm going to hit left border so you can see it's darker, and then I'm going to do the same thing for the bottom border. So I wanted those 2 parts of the grid to be highlighted. The next thing I'm going to do is add in my numbers. So at this point, I do want to move the grid up, and I'm going to add in little text boxes where I'm going to add in my number. So I'm going to center it, put it in the middle of the box, and then choose the font that I want. So I'm going to put 0 here, and then adjust the text box. And I'm going to put the 0 here for now. I'm not going to leave it there because I need a 0 on the x-axis and the y-axis, and I'm just going to have 1 in the corner. But for now, I want that 0 there to help me align my numbers on the bottom. So I'm going to duplicate the 0 10 times. So I am going to bring this over here. And I want it to be lined up. And if it's too small for you to see, just zoom in on your page. All right, so these two zeros are aligned. So now what I'm going to do is select all of the text boxes, go to Shape, Format, Arrange, hit Align, and then hit Align Middle so that they all line up together. And then, oops, just move that up. And then I'm going to go back to Arrange, hit Align, and then click on Distribute Horizontally. So hopefully they are all pretty much lined up with their line. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to select those, duplicate it, and move those up. Let's go up the page and zoom out a little. And now I'm going to unselect and then select one. I'm going to put that 0 there, and I'm going to put the 0 up here and make sure it's lined up with the 0 at the bottom. And then I'm going to select, let's zoom out a little bit more. I'm going to select all of them and try to get that 0 at the bottom. If it's not selected, just hold down your Command key or Control if you have a PC, and then select that 0. So I'm going to go back to Arrange, Align. Let's do Align Left. There we go. Now they're all aligned vertically. Now I want to distribute vertically evenly. So now those are all lined up with those lines. Okay, so now what we can do is adjust our numbers. So this one, I'm going to zoom back in. It's going to be 1. So now I'm going to group my numbers together just to make sure nothing gets moved around. So I selected them all. I can't group it with a table because for some reason tables, you can't group them. So I unselected the table, but I'm going to right click with everything else and group them together. So now my numbers are together. So now for this first page, I don't want anything to be on the grid. I want it to be blank because I want my students to plot the points on the grid. So I'm going to save this image as a picture, just the way it is. Put that there. So now I can add on. So I'm going to add on to a page. So I'm going to start a new page, and I am going to insert my image that I just created, blank 10 by 10 grid. And now I can shrink it and move it around however I want without the features of the image getting distorted or messed up. All right, so there is our grid. Now we can add questions for our grid. So for this first page, I want them to plot points on a coordinate grid. So we have our basic heading, name, and our title. And then we have our grid, plotting on a coordinate grid. Now we're going to add in a text box. Those are the instructions. Now let's put in the actual points that they're going to use. And I do want these to be bold. So let's start with number 1. So if I have point A, where's point A going to go? So one thing you can do, you can make these up, but you might get mixed up with where you're putting something. So I'm going to draw a shape. I'm going to draw a circle. Let's put that circle, let's say 4, 6 maybe. That's a little bit too big. Okay, so that's where my point A is gonna go. And actually you can type in there. So that's point A. Let's see, where am I gonna put point B? Let's put it here and change that to B. Let me zoom in a little bit. So I just want to plot these points so that I know where I want to put my coordinates down below for the students to plot later on. So I'm going to duplicate that. For point C, let's put one here. All right, so we have our points, and now we just need to put in our clues at the bottom, or our points, or ordered pairs. Take the bold off. So point A we said is at 4, 6. Let's put a space. 4, 6. And then we're going to duplicate these. So there's 8 points. So I have that, and then I can duplicate that set and bring that over here and just line it up. All right, so number 2, which is B, and B is at 7, 9. So now we have our clues or our questions to go on here. So I want to keep these circles for the next page that we're working on. So I'm going to duplicate that and come back here. So now what I'm going to do is delete those circles because I want the students to plot those points on the grid. We already saved the grid as an image. What I want to do now, this is optional for you, is to save the entire page as an image. So go to save as, save. So we have our image, we have the one we were editing, and we have our original grid that we made. So with the one that you're editing, you want to keep it. You don't want to get rid of it, even though you made the PNG image, because if you want to adjust something, you always have that copy. As a PNG, you can't make changes to that PNG, so you want to leave your blank copy. All right, so let's move on to our next page. This time we're going to have the images or our points on the grid, and then we're going to have the students figure out what these points are or what their coordinates are going to be or what the order pair is. So I'm actually going to delete what's inside and leave a blank space so they know that they need to write on it. Let's just copy that inside section, copy, paste. So we have our points and our blank coordinate pairs or ordered pairs at the bottom. So we need to change our instructions. So now you can leave them, but if students are working on the last worksheet, you don't want it to be exactly the same. So I'm just going to move these around. And I actually want to adjust the dots to look like circles, so I'm going to do these over. So let's find our circle again. If you hold the shift button down, it makes that perfect circle. So we have our coordinate grid now with the images on there. So again, I want to save the grid by itself as an image. Let's make sure we have that table in there. Make sure you have all your letters selected, and we're going to save it as a picture and save. So we have that image saved. So now I'm going to duplicate this page and I'm going to get rid of the edited one. And I'm going to insert the image so everything is together. And again, adjust the size to meet the needs that you have. If you want it to be larger or smaller, that works. We have our saved image. Let me change the title. All right, so I'm going to copy that and bring that over to this one. So now we're going to save it as an image. Save. And then we can start or do our new blank page and then insert that picture. So far we have 2 of those pages, so we're going to do one more. I'm going to go back to the original of this one just because it has that outline, and bring it down here so I don't mix anything up. And we're going to zoom in. This time I'm going to, instead of using points or dots, I'm going to use icons that come with Microsoft PowerPoint. Go to Insert and go to Icons. You can also grab images off of the internet, off of Google, off of Bing, wherever you get your images. Let's just use like locations. So we can do a house and insert that. So I think that's enough. There are so many different options you can choose from. You don't have to just do locations. You can do animals, bugs, food items, clothing items. There's so many to choose from. We're gonna use these. So I'm actually gonna select all of them and then minimize their size slightly. And then move them around. So unselect and then just place them at different spots on the grid. You can leave it in black and white if you want color. Let me show you how to change the color on the icon. So if you have the house, you just double click that, format the graphic and change it to, let's go with the blue. And then I'm going to add an outline for the beach. We can make that orange, add a line. So there's an easy way to add color to your page, to add images on there. Looks really good that way. And you can do it without labels, or you can add in labels. So if you wanted to add in a label, you can add another text box or use one of the ones you already have. Just gonna bring that in. Delete. Let's say this is the school. Now we're going to save this grid with those images. We have them all saved, save as picture, and save. So now if we duplicate this page, let's go ahead and change. Let's change our question. So when you have actual images on your page, you can have a little bit more fun with your questions. So I'm going to get rid of these. I'm going to change the directions and then make these not bold. All right, so let's see. The first question can be, what are the coordinates of the beach? Question mark, and then you can leave a blank space for the students to write in those coordinates. I might make those labels a little smaller because I don't want students to think the label is where the point is. It's actually where the icon is. There we have our questions to go along with this grid. So I'm going to duplicate it. Then I'm going to get rid of the one that we can edit and insert our image that we created and make it a little bigger. And then the last thing I'm going to do is save the entire page as a picture and save that. We're going to put our new blank slide and then insert a page. Boom, there you have it. We have our 3 different pages that we created. One where the students have to plot on a coordinate grid, one where they have to identify points on a coordinate grid, and then one where they have to answer questions based on the locations of the items on the coordinate grid. So what we're going to do now is save our PowerPoint and save that. So then I'm going to export the pages that I created as a PDF, but I don't want my practice pages to go on there. So because I saved it as a PowerPoint, everything on here right now is already saved. So I'm going to delete them, but make sure I don't save it again because I don't want them to be deleted on my actual saved page. So I know the third one for each set is the page that I want. So now I'm left with 3, and these are the images or the pages that I want exported as a PDF. So I'm going to go to File, Export. It keeps the same name as the PowerPoint, but it's a PDF. So I'm going to hit Export, and it's finished. So now I'm going to open it up. So here's my PDF that I can print out and use with my students. I hope this tutorial on how to create your very own coordinate grid, including a variety of modified pages and questions, helped a lot. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments below.